Now, a local historian has made a significant breakthrough in his efforts to solve a family mystery following his appearance on Morning Focus last month. Anthony Dargan is back with a compelling update on the Hynes family of Ennistymon. What began as a local search has evolved into a cross-county mystery, successfully bridging the gap between the rugged coast of Clare and the streets of Waterford City. And following our chat with Anthony on the 15th of December last, several significant puzzle pieces have fallen into place thanks to a listener's tip. And Anthony is on the line now. Anthony, thanks for joining us. Good to speak to you again.
Good morning, Alan. How are you today?
Very well. So when you were on with us last month, you were looking for help with a bit of a family mystery. Can you just remind listeners what you were trying to uncover?
Yeah, there was two ladies that I wanted some information on. They were Francis Hynes was the brother of my grandfather Thomas Hynes. All the Hynes lived in Old Mill Street in Ennis. Francis married Agnes Healy in Ennistymon in 1929. Now, she was the daughter of a school teacher, John, what was his name? Yeah, John Healy, and his wife, Mary O'Gorman. Now, nothing is heard again from Agnes, but in 1944, Francis married again. This time he married Catherine Knox, a resident of Lahinch, and he was a widower at the time. So between 1929 and 1944, Agnes must have passed away. But there's no evidence of where she was when she did pass away. The civil registration office in Ennis have told me there's no registration of her death anywhere in Clare. So when we did that interview with her, somebody heard it and spoke to a relative of theirs in Waterford, a lady called Susan Whelan. And Susan got to hear the interview and emailed me last week to tell me that she was grandniece of Catherine Knox's sister. Catherine Knox's sister was Mary, and she was a sister of Catherine Knox. So when I got that email, I emailed Susan Phelan back and asked her would she ring me, which she did the following day. So that's the connection to Catherine Knox.
And brilliant that Susan contacted you and explained her family link. I mean, had you expected anything to come of it? It's okay, Anthony. You can admit if you thought coming on to seek the listeners' help if you felt that it might not go anywhere. Were you pleasantly surprised, or did you always have hope that coming on air on Morning Focus would, interest someone or raise their antennae?
I had hoped that it would interest the people on the Agnes Healy side, Agnes Hynes. But Waterford was a huge surprise, because when Susan Phelan, when I spoke to her last week, she said she had been down to Lahinch, to a place called Dua, to visit Catherine Knox, or Kathy Knox as they called her, and her husband Frank, numerous summers when she was a young lady. And she was telling me that Catherine was a waitress in the Aberdeen Arms Hotel in Lahinch. And when Frank, her husband, died, Kathy was living alone in Dua, Lahinch, and her sister Agnes came to visit her and persuaded her to come back to Waterford to live with her, which she did. And there she spent her last years, passing away in 1990 at the age of 89.
And it must be brilliant as well, Anthony. You're getting, Susan telling you about her visits to Lahinch as a child,
Yes.
As an historian, getting living memory like that compared to written records.
Oh, it was. I hadn't expected anything like that. But on Saturday last, I had another phone call from a man in Waterford who saw a little piece that I sent to a newspaper in Waterford looking for information. And he was a granduncle of one of Catherine's sisters as well, and I think his uncle was married to somebody within the Knox family. So that was another connection with Waterford. Now, with coming back to Susan Phelan again, she thinks she has lots of photographs of Catherine Knox and her family, and I'm hoping to get those in the weeks ahead.
Okay, and hopefully you do so. Anthony, despite the progress, there are still unanswered questions, particularly around Agnes Hynes Healy. What's proving so difficult about tracing her? I guess part of it might, the fact that her death isn't registered in Clare at all. Are there other difficulties in trying to find out more about her story?
No, there isn't. No, I know she had a connection with Galway, where her parents were married back in the 19th century. And I know she had connections to Limerick, where her mother and father, John and Mary, were Limerick City people. And whether there's a connection there or not, it's the civil registration officers probably will give me the information there if there is any. I thought it was necessary from every family or to register a death. I thought that was the law, but seemingly who was I talking to? Yeah, I was talking to somebody in the council, and they said that no, that was not necessary. But I thought the onus was on maybe the undertaker or definitely the family to register the death. But I don't know where this is going to go. I doubt if there'll be little success in that area.
Anthony, this isn't just an academic exercise for you, is it? I mean, or it's not a kind of, as I say, an academic exercise or enjoying the kind of private detective element of it, solving a mystery. This is deeply personal as well. I mean, how important is this search for you and your family?
To me, with the interest I have in in local history and social history, which I had been when I've been up here in the borough area for many years. I have written some books on social history, and that's where I got the interest in family history. And as I said, I've been tracing the Hyneses for the last couple of months, having finished a book on social history. And I'm now on the trail of another sister of my grandfather, Thomas Hynes. We lived in 30 Flannels Terrace, and that's where the Hyneses lived, with the Dargans coming in there when my mother married. And in 32, you had the Gallaghers. Now, the Gallaghers, we used to go in there when we were very young to say hello to and to talk with Jimmy and Daisy Gallagher. What we didn't know was that Jimmy Gallagher's mother was Susan. She was a Hynes. And Susan and Thomas Hynes were brothers and sisters, which we didn't know for years. And last week it came to my notice that Susan's husband, Frank Gallagher, was killed in World War I, as was Thomas Hynes' brother, Michael, who was also killed in World War I. And so there, Susan Gallagher had a husband and a brother killed in World War I, which we had no knowledge of up to recently.
Anthony, you're hoping to trace a Gallagher, yes. Gallagher was her maiden name, who may still be with us. Tell us more about her and how the listeners, they've helped you before, so their track record is pretty good. You're reaching out to them again?
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if I heard something in this line, because Jimmy and Daisy Gallagher, I don't know what her maiden name was, a lovely, lovely woman, a very caring, compassionate woman. But she had a daughter, Marion, and Marion moved to Newmarket na Fergus when she married. Now, I think she married either Sheedy or a Sheehy, and that's where she had her family. But we heard then that Daisy was tragically killed in a road accident somewhere outside the market many years ago. Eventually, Marion moved back to Ennis, I think, with her daughter, where she lives, I think, now somewhere off the town road. And so we haven't been in touch with Marion since we were young children in 30 Flannels Terrace.
Okay, so if there's a Marion Sheedy or Marion Sheehy living off the town road, Nee Gallagher, and if anyone, if she indeed is listening or anyone knows her, maybe could let her know that Anthony is seeking her. Or you can get in touch with us here at Morning Focus, 086 1800 964. Send us a message. You can call us on 0818 400 964, or else email us with some details that would be useful to Anthony, and we can put you in touch with him. Focus at clare.fm. Have you been surprised by how willing people are to help when they hear these stories? Or do you?
No, I'm not surprised at all, because as I said, being involved in social history and local history, the cooperation you get from people when you visit them or talk to them on the phone has been brilliant altogether. And it gives me, I suppose, a reason to get up in the morning. And I'm 20 years retired now, so it keeps me active, keeps my mind active, and it's a great source of interest to me to delve into family history.
Okay, well, look, hopefully someone contacts us or you, Anthony, regardless, if there is any further update. Please do let us know and stay in touch with us, and we wish you the best with it. Hopefully this appeal for information will go as well as the previous one. Anthony Dargan, local historian, thanks once again for joining us on Morning Focus, and as I say, hopefully it will not be your last time on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony Dargan there with us on Monday's edition of the show.